Hello again, everybody. You know, it seems like there is a Hall of Fame for just about everything. I mean, look at this. Here is a robot Hall of Fame in Pittsburgh. You old-timers might recognize that's Gort from those science fiction movies of the 1950s. And then how about this one? This one looks like a lot of fun. That's the Pinball Hall of Fame. Yeah, there is such a thing. Where is it? Where do you think? Las Vegas. I mean, I would have a lot of fun in there, right? That looks like like you'd be a kid again. One place that I would have gone maybe as a kid, but I would have no reason to go into now, this one, the Barbers Hall of Fame. Yeah, kind of cuts to the core that I would have no need to go into a place like that. That's outside of Columbus, Ohio, if you are interested. With all of these hundreds, and maybe there are thousands of strange off-the-road Hall of Fames out there, it's always intrigued me that there has been no Investors Hall of Fame. Don't you think there should be something like that, or an investing Hall of Fame? I can see it now somewhere around Wall Street or whatever, and you would have some of the most famous, most successful investors of all time. You would have their bios. Maybe you would even have a little video thing that you could hit and look at some speech that they made. Maybe you could look at some of their earlier writings. And then perhaps you would even have some old relics like this thing here. And then I can see these little kind of kiosks, if you will, these almost PlayStations where perhaps you would take stocks that you like, put in some bond funds, gold, whatever you like, build out a portfolio, and then you would feed it into the machine and some AI-generated response would kick back and say, this is how your portfolio would have done the last 10 years. Wow, that's really cool. Or you'd pick a bunch of tech stocks and just for fun, you'd say, how would this have done during the internet bubble bursting 25 years ago? And just, it'd be very interactive. I think that would be a lot of fun. And then I can picture this too. If I was building it, I would certainly have this, a wing that you would have just for kids. Because I think we do a very poor job of educating our young folks on the efficacies of long-term investing. Let me tell you one thing that I'm convinced of that would not exist if there was an investing Hall of Fame. There would not be a wing for market timers. Because guess what? There are no long-term successful market timers.
Are you serious right now, bro?
Yeah, 100% serious, my friend. Serious as a heart attack. Look, you might be successful once in a while of market timing, but you have to be right twice. You have to know when to get out of the market and when to get back in. And you need to do that multiple times over the course of an investing lifestyle. And I'm telling you, it doesn't work long time. So that's the whole episode today. And I'm going to prove to you by the end why you shouldn't even think about ever trying to market time. If there was an Investors Hall of Fame and they had the greatest investors, none of them would have a part of their bio that said, I really made my fame and fortune by knowing when to get out of the market and when to go back in. Let me define what I'm talking about real quick before we go any further. I'm not talking about taking some profit now and then. That's prudent financial investing. That's 101. I'm not talking about saying, well, the markets have changed, so I'm going to take a little off my large cap growth and maybe put it over here into international or maybe add to some bonds. Again, that's just prudent investing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these wholesale changes that say, I can't take the market anymore. It scares me. I read all the headlines. I better get out. You cash out and you go either all into cash or maybe bonds or CDs. That's market timing. Don't do it. As proof, what I'm going to show you now is a hypothetical example. Well, part of it is real, and then we'll add some hypotheticals to it, that if you had started investing at one particular time and stayed invested all the way through a real life cycle, what your return would have been versus someone who market timed and got it wrong. Let's show you right now. So we're going to focus first of all on that top solid green line. You had $100,000 and unfortunately you put it all to work at the beginning of the internet bubble bursting in 2000. So you could see right away the market going down. And there's that green line, and then it's starting to go up, and oh no, there's the great financial crisis, and you go right back down again. And then the 2010s and even the 20s have been great. Of course, you see the exception there. That is the COVID lockdown, that one little drop there at 2020, and then the 22 bear market that we recently had, and now going back up again. So you can see there in the numbers in the upper left of that chart, the S&P 500, that's that top solid green line, you would have averaged 7.7% over the past 25 years. And that's even with a horrible start in the decade of the 2000s. Now, what we're going to do is take a look at the last bottom line of that. This is someone who has the worst luck when it comes to trying to time the market. And he misses the 50 best performing days over the past quarter century. Let's go back and take a look at it. It's that last line that you see there, the solid red line at the bottom. Now, when you go up and look at the little box of performance, you will notice that you would have actually lost an average return of 2.3% roughly every year for a quarter century. So your $100,000 has actually turned into barely more than $56,000. You lost almost 44% of your money in a great 25-year period because you missed the 50 best performing days. Now, let's be honest. Nobody has that kind of bad luck, all right? Let's go up a few lines, though. Let's look at something in the middle, and that would be the last green line, the lightest green line. Look again in that box of numbers there in the upper left, and you will see that that guy, his 100,000 turned into 115. Barely flat, about 0.5% a year. That's not very good. We'll just call it even. He missed the 30 best performing days over the past 25 years. You know what that really tells you? Think about this for a second. Returns are chunky. In 25 years, that roughly equates to 6,000 trading days, 6,000 business days. And you're telling me that the 30 best days out of 6,000 pretty much gave us all the gains for 25 years? That's exactly what I'm telling you. Another way to look at it is, out of 5,970 days, the market netted out to basically 0.5% a year. That's incredible. You think you can really market time through that? Can you? You can't do it. Now, give you a little bit of a disclaimer. The first time I was presented with a chart like that was many years ago. This thing is updated all the time. And I'm cynical by nature. That's my profession. And the first time I saw it, I thought, well, okay, fine. But wouldn't you also miss some of the worst days? I mean, nobody has that kind of luck, where the only days they're missing are the best days. That's exactly right. So we're not taking those hypotheticals literally at face value. What I am telling you, however, is that you will miss some of those best days. Returns, like I said, are chunky and they're not linear. So if you want the full effects of the market, or you want the full returns of whatever your balance is, you have no choice. You have to stay fully invested. I'll give you a real life example as we wrap this thing up of a gentleman who I met for the first time more than 20 years ago, so sometime in the early 2000s or so, and he had just retired. He had worked for about 40 years at a very well-known, iconic American consumer brands company. And he was a union guy, just a blue-collar guy, never made a lot of money, especially starting out in the 60s when we compare dollars to dollars. But from virtually day one, he would take a few dollars out of that check and he would invest it in the company retirement plan. Then this was before 1978 when 401ks were first developed. But a lot of companies still had their own company savings plan, company retirement plans, and he had that at this company. So I think he said he was putting away $30 or $40 a month at first, and then it went up to $50 and then $100. He doesn't know anything about investing. He's still around today, and he'll tell you, I don't know anything about this. All I knew was I was told I should take a few dollars and put it away for when I retire. And that's what he did, check after check. So along the way, his coworkers would be sitting in the break room and they would be talking about all that's going wrong in the world. In the 70s, it's, they should impeach Nixon and all the worry about that. Inflation of the late 70s. I don't trust that Ronald Reagan. I don't know about what Bill Clinton's going to do coming in. Oh, there's 9/11. There was always something that he would hear these other people who knew more about investing than he did, admittedly, who were doing things in their portfolio. I'm getting out of the market. Yeah, I think I am too. I read something this. And this gentleman would think, should I be doing that? These are the smart guys. I think maybe it's foolish that I stay in, but I don't know any better. All I know is I'm just putting money out of my check into now what's this 401k plan. Fast forward to the early 2000s when he retires. A gentleman who never made six figures, never was middle management or anything like that, but had the blinders on, didn't market time, and he retires with seven figures. Here we stand today, as now he's in his later years, and very healthy, it's been very blessed, who's living his best years. Folks, we try to complicate investing. It doesn't have to be complicated. That story is so compelling to me. I've told it many, many times before, especially when young people tell me, I don't have a lot of money to invest. Do you have $50? Do you have $100? And do that for the next 40 years? The compounding, I've talked in other podcasts about the law of large numbers. That's what this gentleman saw. So please, do not worry about the headlines. I say this all the time on the podcast, and never, ever, ever market time. Market timing leaves more money on the table and causes more losses than just staying in through thick and thin. You know what really ties into this message very well is one of the very first podcasts I did in this new studio, and that's the one I did on Trump in the stock market. Go back and look at that because it seems a little prescient now in terms of don't time the market and don't get caught up in a lot of the hoopla that's happening, or even on the downside, the hysteria, because things have a way of, shall we say, evening out. Take a look at that one, all right? Thank you so much for tuning into all of these Simon Says Quick Hit podcasts. Please remember to hit subscribe and pass this along to anyone else who you think might benefit. We'll talk to you again next time.